Hello, welcome to my channel. This is a very late what I did last year video because it's now February. I just want to talk about it and I haven't had the chance to yet. We're just gonna do it. So this is gonna cover everything I crocheted and then also stuff that I upcycled as well. As someone who doesn't actually crochet that many things, I feel like a lot of fiber art YouTubers really whack out a lot of stuff. I just don't, especially now that I have wrist problems. Maybe it's just like this is just more of a small collection of things that I've made. If you're new here, I am a crocheter, but I also make baking videos, I also make vlogs, I also make reading videos. So what I crocheted in 2025, I've got a list. We started the year by crocheting a gnome from my Etsy, which kind of just set up the vibe for the Etsy orders that I was going to get this year. Near Christmas I was making like so many per week, so yeah, that sort of just kind of set the vibe for what to expect from Etsy this year. I feel like I should sit to the side so that I can put pictures and stuff. Yeah, so if you like Little Nightmares, if you know Little Nightmares, it's just a crochet gnome from the game and they're the most popular thing on my Etsy, so I made one of those. And then the next thing I made was I made my Nana a hat. It's so, I don't know if this is weird. As a crocheter, I'm so intimidated by hats. I've tried a lot in the past to make hats and I just can never get them right. What seems so simple is actually really difficult. It took me a lot of tries, but with this hat, it's the first one that actually like properly succeeded in a really nice, succinct way. So yeah, I made this green hat and I gave it to my nan, but I really liked it and I've been meaning to make myself one because I think having a green hat to accentuate anything I'm wearing that's green would be quite nice. I did go on a bit of a hat spree after that because I was like, I finally nailed it. And then I followed that with making my dad's birthday present, which was a glasses holder, which I just thought was really goofy. So he seems to use it a lot, which is nice. So like I said, I then just started making hats. So the next thing I made was a hat for myself. I don't know, I just sort of had this vision and I have it here actually. It's this hat. I'll put pictures anyway, but I'm really not happy with it. Like I had a vision of like a black hat with some white detailing that sort of looked quite cool, but the detailing is just very chunky. I should have maybe embroidered. I don't like the way it looks. Like it just looks a bit odd. I'll try it on for you. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I don't really wear it, but yeah, I made myself this hat. That was the next thing I made. Still striving to make myself a hat that I love and will wear a lot. And then moving on from that, I made, let me get it down actually. I made this like pockets to hang on my wall to like put stuff in. I should have lined them really. I really can't be bothered, especially now that they're all attached to this, but I don't care. I liked the way that they turned out. I like the vibe, I like the colours, and I like the shapes. It took forever. I mean, this one took a while because I wasn't following any pattern. I was just sort of making up as I went along, which you can see on the back of this one. Like I made a square and then had to like extend it because it wasn't a square. Very only something that I can use myself and not give to anyone because it's very messy. And then it was around this time that I started investing more in Etsy and crocheting and markets. So I started just making a lot of stock for a market and I sort of thought, okay, I'd like the theme of my market to be sort of like fantasy, whimsical, fairy tale sort of vibes. I crocheted quite a few fidget dragons, so that was the first step towards the market, but I made loads of other market stock as well, which I'll mention briefly. But after doing loads of research into doing markets and everything, it just is one of those things where it starts as something that you really will not make a profit from. Like you have to invest in the money because you have to pay for the space to like sell your things, you have to pay for the table, like everything you need for the setup, like everything, all the shelves, the labels, the way that people are gonna pay. I was like, I actually am not really that interested in selling things consistently. There's no point investing all that money if it's not something that I want to do all the time. Yeah, now I just have all this stock and it's on my Etsy. But the next thing I made was this raccoon sweater, which probably a lot of you have seen already if you watch my videos consistently. I don't really have any pictures of it because I'm not happy with it. Which kind of is a good segue into my next point about my Etsy and sort of what I want to do with crochet. I want to lean more into writing patterns and selling patterns, and then if I have anything that I make that I want to sell, I'll just sell it as a one-off rather than something that you can consistently order for me to make. This would be a good example. Like, I don't really wear this. I might as well just remake another one because I just really don't want to have to like unravel a lot of it and change everything. Like, I'll just start again. This might be something that I list on my Etsy if anybody was interested. I keep trying to make it work into something that I would wear, but I think the problem is I just don't really like the cutesy cartoony raccoon we've got going on the front. So, but it's the first piece of clothing I ever made. It was a big step towards other crochet things. The next thing I made was also clothing. It was this mesh t-shirt thing, which just took so long. I'm never going to make one again. I have a crochet with me where I'm making that. You can watch it if you want. I think it's pretty entertaining, but it's just not. It was so difficult. I don't think I've worn it. Oh my god, I don't think I've worn it actually. So I went through all of that and I don't wear it. I remember what I was doing was sort of making one project and then making something for the market, and then making a project and then making something for the market. So the next thing I made was just a load of leaf sprout bookmarks for my Etsy. And then the next big project I went into was making the 6-day star blanket, which I also have a crochet with me for. And I enjoyed that, but I just bought the wrong yarn. But I do really like how it turned out, and I use it in my room all the time. And I want to make another one of those, definitely. And it was a good pattern, it was really good. There's a reason why it went so viral. Then I made more stuff for the market. So I made like succulent coasters, which sort of like function as coasters, and then you can sort of tuck them into a crochet pot and they look like a succulent. And then I made more bookmarks with like little frog on the top that will like sit outside of your book, which I made one of my friends one of those. And then I was really obsessed with it, so I was like, I'm gonna make those for the market, and they are on my Etsy. Everything that I say I made this for the market is going to be on my Etsy. I have this next one. Right, I mean, I have pictures as well that I'll put, but I wanted to upcycle this vest. So I made 2 different tapestry crochet images. So the first one I made was this one, which I still have, but I just haven't done anything with it yet. We'll just wait until inspiration strikes, I guess. I mean, I could use it in the tapestry that I want hanging behind my bedroom. Behind my bed. And then I made this vest, so I sort of like crocheted around the edges and then made this image in the middle. So I do love a bit of tapestry crochet. Then we got to the point where it was time for my friend's birthday, so I made her a present. Me and her read a lot. We talk about reading a lot, we talk about books a lot, and she reads a lot at work. And so I was like, you know, I'll make her a book sleeve so she can like transport her books around without damaging them in any way. And she's a huge like Winnie the Pooh fan, especially Eeyore. So I made her a book sleeve sort of inspired by Eeyore, the colours of Eeyore, and like free-handed a like applique of Eeyore's head. And I really liked that, and it's now a thing on my crochet for myself list. Yeah, the next thing I made was another Etsy order, which I conveniently have one because I just finished making it for someone who's ordered one recently. My Pelantris plushie, the first pattern that I ever designed myself, from the video game Franbo. He's Dr. Pelantris from Thirster, and he is just one of my comfort characters. And one day I decided that I wanted a plushie of him in my room, and then it just worked so well that I was like, I want to make these for other people who really like this video game and really like Pelantris, so they can have one. I sell a smaller version as well, so this is the large, and then I sell one that's more like this big. Literally just finished this morning. This is one I think I would continue to make to order. I'm really attached to it. And then this was when I was moving on to designing more patterns that I could maybe sell. So I made my cousin a scarf for his birthday. I was like, I should write this pattern up and sell it just in case anybody else who really likes Black Flag crochets and wants a Black Flag scarf. Yeah, that sort of leans into when I started testing the waters for writing patterns. The next thing I made, I think I was just like, I want to make something, but I have no project ideas and I don't have the commitment. So I just made a really small thing, which was a whimsical looking pouch for my DS game cards. And then we were getting into the autumn, right, I'm really in the feels for making things now because autumn is my favourite, and I decided, since I was watching and really obsessed with Over the Garden Wall, I wanted to make something inspired by that show. And I really had an idea in my head of like appliques that I wanted to make. So I ended up making a bag, and I still haven't finished it because I still haven't lined it, but I do love it, and I just was hit with inspiration to make a million other things inspired by Over the Garden Wall after that, because I loved the colours, and I especially loved how I did the beast. I would happily wear that on a hoodie or something. I'm gonna use it for maybe like grocery shopping with like loose vegetables and stuff. And then I moved on to just making another hat, which is still unfinished because I need to block it hardcore. I need to block it because I made it very tight. But I just like whacked it out while watching Stranger Things season 5. I don't know, my brain just for some reason towards the end of the year was obsessed with switching up my like clothing aesthetic to be something more goblin core. And then we're just moving into the last things that I made this year, which was mainly Christmas presents. So I made my cousin just a plant for his room, which I don't have a picture of, but it looked like this but without the flowers. Yeah, I just made him a hanging plant for his room. And then last of all, I made my friend just a really cute plant pot holder that looks like a hedgehog because she loves hedgehogs. And I was so happy with how this looked. That pretty much wraps up all the projects that I did this year. There is one other thing. I did spend the year making all these granny squares, just inspired by all the different book covers of the books that I've read this year. And I'm planning on sewing them all together to make like a book bag or something, just with all these like book covers. Yeah, this year was the year that I also got into upcycling. So there is just a couple of upcycling projects that I made. This was an upcycle because I bought the vest, and then I upcycled a sweater to make it look like a jack-o'-lantern, which I was really happy with that. I'm just really scared to wash it because we tested the paint and everything, and when it went through the wash it just sort of all came out, even though I did everything that the internet said to do to like set the paint. I thought I'd upcycled more. I only started towards the end of the year though, but I have loads of plans for this year. The only other thing on the list was I upcycled a pop vinyl to look like my cousin, and that was just really funny. I don't think I'll show you just because it has his surname and everything on it, and I don't want to expose him like that. Yeah, he's just very like, he's a gym bro, and he's always like taking his t-shirt off and flexing. So I just bought a pop vinyl of someone without a t-shirt on flexing, and then just like put a picture of him on the front instead of the pop vinyl. Yeah, that's everything I made last year. But hobbies should be relaxing. Hobbies should be, I just feel like the internet is very good at being like, my hobby is crocheting. Here's a huge bag of things I made the entire year. I don't know, I just hope that this is more like of a realistic example of what you can get done in a year. I have other hobbies. I have way too many hobbies to do all of this at a high volume. I don't know what I'm rambling on about now. I don't really know how to wrap up this video. Like, I've told you everything I've made. Yeah, I don't know. How do people end these videos? Do they say like their goals for the year? We'll just take it as it comes. I'm working on a crochet with me video right now. So yeah, if you want to see me making more things this year, maybe you should subscribe. And if you wanted to check out my Etsy as well, I always link it in the description. Maybe you should have a look, see if anything catches your eye. I'm trying to be a lot more on it with filming videos this year, like a lot more of a regular schedule. And I think I'm doing well so far. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.